Reason is there's a big thing that I'm doing today is I don't have my headset on. I've got a little mic, so maybe the headset might be gone. But if you can hear me, let me know. There's a little low. Okay, that's great. I'll see if I can turn the microphone volume up. Sean, thanks for letting me know there. Actually, I'll do it on my software. Okay, that's right. I'll try and gain that a little bit more. Oh my God, just doing bits. Okay. So I am set up now, and Sean, hopefully you can hear me as well. And first of all, if anyone is joining in to watch me on this live, and what I'm going to go through today is a couple of questions that people have been talking about. And obviously, if you've got any questions about Amazon Arbitrage, be sure to let me know as well. Drop them down below. If you want to know, I'm live on YouTube and on Facebook. And obviously, any questions, just let me know, and obviously I'll try and get around to answering them. If I don't, or maybe you're watching it on the replay, then what I will do is I'll answer it in the next one. So obviously do come back and drop any questions in there. But if I kind of just talk through a couple of questions which have been asked today, and if I kind of zoom down 1 second. If I go small, if you don't know, I run a Facebook group called FastTrackFBA because I also run a UK-based Amazon arbitrage lead service called FastTrackFBA. So if you're interested, check out FastTrackFBA.com. But today, what I'm really going to go through are a couple of questions around some of the users of the groups or the group that have asked me to do during this live. So we've got here saying, I'd like to see how you manage returns start to finish, which reports to email and cross-reference. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing that one today because I'm going to release a video on how to do that. There's quite a lot to go through, and I think it's a step-by-step process, and you'd need to see it on a live account, and I couldn't edit out the parts of my account that you would be able to see. So I'd have to pre-record that, then edit those out. But for you is to say, I will do a video about that and then share it back. And then here we've got, I'll be interested in more about groceries, replenishables and groceries. And today what I want to do is talk a little bit about groceries. I'm no expert, but we talk about replenishables, groceries, and also as well, if you're VAT registered, then what I'll do as well, 1 second, just going to mute that. What I will do is to say that I will have a look through how the VAT affects you, and also how you can actually be more competitive as being a VAT seller versus non-VAT. And then finally, Alex dropped down here, profit versus margin. And my God, people throw these around left, right, and center. And I will give you my take on what I understand them to be. And obviously, if you think different, that's fine. But I will do that. So I'm just going to come up and check the things here. Okay, good. Luca's saying audio could be louder. So if I pull this up a little bit closer, Luca, let me know if that's made a difference. And I'll also just go big now so it doesn't come up. And Sean's just getting a bit annoyed because I mentioned the word VAT. Hey, don't worry, this thing's happened to all of us. Very much part of what we do and our business and the way we work. So that is unfortunately if you're not a seller, or should I say, if you're not a seller in the UK or in Europe, we have to pay VAT, value added tax, and as a result, that means we're paying 20% on everything we do. But hey, it's just part and parcel of the business. That's the nature of it. We've got to do these kind of things. So it's a shame, but we just have to do it. But we've got to try and find the nuances that allow us to run our business that are going to be effective, that's going to work for us, and still be competitive in that marketplace. So what I'll just say is I'll just drop a message in here. Hello, everyone. So if anyone's watching on YouTube, be sure you can obviously do that. You can say hello there, and hello to everyone in Facebook. Now, what I will say is yesterday I was in a meetup with a lot of Amazon sellers, and a big shout out to Al Carton at SAS, or should I say Seller Tools. He invited myself to come and speak, and that was obviously a really nice time. There was myself, Luke Dugan, or Dugden, if I pronounce it right. Sorry, Luke, I know you're on the thing. Malta. He currently delayed his holiday by 1 day, and he is now on holiday. But there's myself, there was Amanda, there was Luke, and there was Al, and we all talked about scaling around our businesses and what we're doing, and it was a really, really nice event. We talked about, shared loads of top tips and tricks, and I say nice, it was like so much information shared, but also as well, hey, if you ever get a chance to do it, go to these meetups, learn about different things in your business. I will say I sat there and I was like, you know what, I know that, but I didn't remember, or I've forgotten how important that is, or I need to focus on that area a bit more because that's going to really add value to my business in 2020. And interestingly enough, it's not just about the learning that you're going to learn from it. It's going to also be about the networking, the people who you're going to meet. That is going to be super useful because there is so much information now, whether it be tips and tricks to sourcing that you didn't know, whether it's going to be finding out about the latest stores. And I spoke to someone who's been sourcing RA for a long time, and he's been doing this store for a very long time. It's given amazing results, and he obviously told me what it is. I'm not going to share it, so sorry. But interesting enough, that store has now come to light in the general public, and it means it's going to affect his business, perhaps, I don't know. But that information I would never have been given just through a Facebook chat or a YouTube chat. I've only done that because I've met the person. And interesting enough, even when it comes to deals that maybe that I can't buy enough of, or we can get together and buy, that's going to be super useful for, should we say, us to, we know each other in person, we know who we are, we know the characters, and we can help each other out. And I met people yesterday where they had some really interesting sourcing strategies, and I said, hey, you know what? I could probably code some stuff for that. I could help you out with certain elements of that. That's going to be useful. And I'm looking super forward to 2020 because I learned so much over my last 3 years of selling, but now this year is about still putting it all together, refining it more, and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But hey, there are so many sellers at so many different levels, and one of the reasons why I do this Facebook Live is very much around, hey guys, I just want to share my knowledge, my information, and if there's something that you want to know, then I can do that, answer questions live. But also as well, if there is, if there's something that maybe I've learned, I can share that with you as well, because I don't really see many people doing live and talking. So I'll talk about different areas. So today there's 2 real areas that I'll talk about, and I'll just clarify again what they are. So profit margin and ROI, and then first things first, we'll have a look at groceries, and also as well looking around VAT and how that affects certain bits and bobs. So let's kind of start with groceries and go from there. But what I will say is before we actually start, if you've got any questions, drop them down below, or if you are watching it, just give me a like. Drop me a like, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be on Facebook. It just tells me you like this kind of content, and I'll do more of it. And hey, if you are watching on YouTube, even the YouTube replay, click subscribe, because you're gonna get notified the next time I do a video or do a live. And we've got a whole season of sourcing videos coming up this month, so you like them as well. Right, let's get started on groceries. So I am just going to check. Okay, right. Let me go on to here. So, right, you should, and if I just check, can you see my screen? Yes, you can. Brilliant. Okay, so you might not be able to see this that brilliantly, and I'll try and zoom in. Now, I've basically just done a Google search for HMRC. So if you're in the UK, this is HMRC, Her Majesty Revenue and Customs, tax collector, basically, that on food and drinks. And I've kind of gone through a couple of the results and come up here to, this is a HMRC website, and it talks about that on different goods and services. And then I kind of clicked through and got to, should we say, one which kind of talked about VAT on food products. So VAT notice 701/14 if you're interested. Now, there's a reason why I'm just going to highlight this first before we go into groceries. So what you're looking at here is to say, a lot of people get into groceries because, a lot of them can be VAT or zero VAT, which is great because if you're paying VAT every 3 months, maybe every month if you're doing enough volume, you've got to keep paying out that big VAT sum. Whereas if you can have some zero rated in products that you're replenishing, that just reduces that VAT bill. And it makes you more competitive. And we'll talk about that in a bit. So I've come onto HMRC right here, and I'm literally just going to come straight down and scroll down and have a quick look around food, point 2.2, food not supplied in the course of catering. So that's us. So, like retailers, wholesalers, that's fine. Now, they talk about 2 areas. One which you must always standard rate, i.e. 20% at the moment, and then the other one which is but you can zero rate. Now, this, I'm not saying I can give you all the exact answers. I'm not, you're going to have to do a lot more research on this, but this is a good starting point. So right here, they're saying, HMRC saying you can zero rate, i.e. you pay VAT, but you pay nothing. That's an important distinction between there is no VAT. So you're paying VAT, but there's zero VAT to pay. That doesn't mean you're not paying VAT. Now you can do it on frozen yogurt that's designed to be thawed before eating, drained cherries and candied peel, And then here we've got milk, milk drinks, tea, mate, herb tea, coffee, cocoa, preparations of yeast, meat and eggs. Now here, so the meaning of food of kind of use for human consumption. So if the food is of human consumption, like the average drink, they're saying is like products like a snack or a meal, flour, you would usually charge them a standard rate. Now, a general kind of thing that I've researched about, and again, you have to do your own research, is if it's ready to eat right now, it's going to be standard rate VAT. You're going to have to charge full VAT on it. But if it's got to be prepared, you know, a classic example would be like coffee, you've got to put water in there, and then you've made a coffee itself, you know, hot coffee. That the hot coffee itself is VATable, but the coffee beans, they're not. So interesting enough, you don't have to charge VAT on coffee. And I'll just kind of use that as a good example during this. So look, for me, when I'm looking at something like, if I go into coffee, my God, let me zoom in because this is really small. When I'm doing something like looking at groceries, there's a couple of things that I'll kind of look at. And if I just make a note here. So let's just go to coffee, not in electronics. So I've got a couple of bits of coffee here, and I'm just loaded into one of my Chrome profiles. And the one thing which I'd probably look at for me when I'm doing groceries, and particularly replenishables, is that I'd probably be looking for a really good seller. I'd probably be looking, you know, I'm looking for volume, and I'm looking for something which sells a lot. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. You can get lower sellers, but as long as they're consistently selling. I'm looking at where generally is not Amazon on the listing, because hey, you know what? When Amazon's on the listing, it's just going to be you're competing against them, and you know the price goes up and down, and also it's hard to compete. So I'm looking at, should we say, maybe are there products that Amazon aren't on the listing that I can sell? So let's have a quick. Can we have a look here? Interesting. I'll open up this one, and I'm not going to say I'm going to find a replenishable here at all. This isn't pre-done. This is randomly. So this product here, we're loading up. We're saying what 231 on the actual sales right here, and then interesting enough, the next thing I'm really going to be looking at is over the course of say 3 months to a year, what's the stability of the buy price? So I'm looking at my keeper graph, and I'll zoom this in for you to say how much is my buy price being stable. And the reason why I'm looking at that is if I can find this to make me profit on that stable buy price, then I know I can constantly keep buying it and selling it. That's going to be an interesting product. But if the buy price is constantly up, down, it's too much variety. It's not going to be something that I can keep doing. So I'm really interested in a pretty stable buy price, and if Amazon are off it, I'm really happy. I'm not too worried about competition, so long as there's enough sales on the listing so that I can get in there and sell those products. And it depends. So I'm going to kind of have a look and say, look, this potentially is a product we might reverse sorts, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But the one thing which I just want to show you here, and if I pull this out, is to say right now, and I check my settings on FBA multi-tool, I've got no prep and I've got no VAT settings set. So right now, for me to buy this product, and it's just showing me, and I'll zoom in up here, it's saying if I want to achieve a 30% ROI, I need to do £5.85. Now the one thing which I'll say is we already know this is coffee and it has 0 VAT on it. So I need to come into here, and at the moment it's saying £5.85 for me and my business because I'm in a normal business, because you're going to have to pay VAT on fees and things. So if I just put this back down to 0, because there is no VAT charged on it. Here's where it doesn't work. Let's just do, can I put £1 in? Calculate profit. Okay. So if there's 0 VAT on this product, which we know there is, I'm going to have to pay, there'll be £6.52 to get 30% ROI. That's that value right there. And I'll just drop that in there, £6.52. So it's saying 30% ROI, £6.52. Now for me, what I'm quite interested in saying, if I all of a sudden become VAT registered, here's where it doesn't work, but we'll find out. £6.52, it's not even going to change because it's saying 0 VAT, that's why. Okay, so 1 second, sorry. If I say this, I'm not VAT registered, 20%. Let's recalculate that. Okay. The problem comes is it's taking off VAT on the, it's doing it on the fees, and it's doing it on the, is it doing it on the product? No, it's not actually. So referral fees, total FBA fee is £4.38. So, okay, here's where I need to be a bit I'm going off on one. Okay, so fees there, total fees. Okay, and then can I turn on my VAT registered? Turn on. Calculate. Okay, interesting. It's a bit hard to describe because of the way FBA multi-tool is going. So with this product, let's put it this way. Right now, we don't pay VAT on the sale because it's zero rated VAT. So when I sell it for £12.86, and normally a VAT registered seller would have to pay 20% of that £12.86 to the government, HMRC. But because we know it's a zero VAT rated product, we no longer have to pay the 20% to the government. We only pay zero because nothing. But for a non-VAT registered seller, on the fees, and we're talking about Amazon seller fee, FBA fees, they have to pay 20% on top because Amazon will charge them VAT, so they're a non-VAT registered seller. Whereas a VAT registered seller doesn't have to pay them because they claim them back. So if you look at the two, non-VAT registered seller and VAT registered seller, they're both paying or getting exactly the same amount of money from the product sale. There's no VAT to be paid on the actual sale, but the non-VAT registered seller is having to pay for the fees, whereas the non-VAT registered seller isn't. So for you, as a VAT registered seller, you can actually be more profitable on non-VAT registered items for someone who is selling non-VAT or is non-VAT registered, trying to sell things like coffee, which is zero VAT. So it might be a bit convoluted there, and hopefully that's kind of been a bit understood. But for me, what I'd be looking at is, if I'm VAT registered, I'd be looking at those items which are non-VAT registered. Can I buy them? Can I sell them? But not only that, I would still look at other items. But that's where I have an advantage versus non-VAT registered sellers. And if you're just looking at general, should we say, looking at replenishables, my point would be is, can you find a product which is generally not got Amazon? It's got a very high volume of sales, and also what we're looking for is to say, is the price stable? I'm really looking for a stable price because that's going to help me. Now, hey, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know the experts, I know everything about replenishables, because I don't. Luke, the person who did a talk over the weekend, and if you want to know, his name on YouTube is Mr. FBA. He did a really good presentation on replenishables, and I was really, really impressed with that. So if you're interested in looking at a replenishables, understanding technical aspects of Amazon above and beyond me, go have a look at Mr. FBA. He's got a Facebook group and he's got a YouTube channel, really good. And actually, on the replay, I'll drop a link to his channel up there because honestly, I can't recommend him enough. Really, really good. So my top tips for, and I think I'd kind of think about replenishables are, number one, no Amazon. Number two, high volume of sales. Number three, price stability. And hey, normally I'd like to talk about 30% ROI, £3 profit, but you can go less than that. This is a product that's just going to sell, and you're looking really at the velocity of sales, because hey, if you can put £1 in today and you're going to get it back next week, that means, and you're getting, let's say, 50% ROI, on your second week you've got £1.50 back. Put it in again on your third week, you're going to get £1.50 times 50% again. That's going to start scaling. So even if you're running at like 15-20% ROI, but you can turn it really, really, really quick. Even if you're something like merchant fulfilled, that's even quicker than having to ship it into FBA. Then my God, that's going to make, that can be a real pleasure, because you're just taking a real joy, or a really good product, because after, say, a couple of times you've turned it, you've now just covered the cost of goods on the profit that you've made, and then for the rest of the time, it's just pure profit because you've got that initial investment back out again. Or you can keep it all in scale, scale, scale. So I'll just kind of go back to the group in case there's any questions around that. So, right, I've got a couple of questions here, or not, so a couple of comments. So I'm just going to do a bit of a shout out if anyone is watching. So I got here on the Facebook Live, the Facebook here, we've got Lucas says, better, thank you, so that's really good. And obviously I'm saying hello, fantastic. Emmanuel says, great chat yesterday. And if you don't know, I was at the event yesterday, and Emmanuel there, and a lot of the guys, who I met, watched the videos. That was really good. So Emmanuel, obviously thank you so much, and obviously really good to meet you as well. We've got Sean, he's saying, I'm going to start accepting 30% ROI as long as they're fast selling items now being VAT registered. And hey, Sean and I were having this conversation last night in the bar, and it's really interesting to say that he's doing a really good job on RA, fantastic results. But when you kind of get to the point that you can't do any more work on your RA business and you're making more cash than you can spend, then certainly why not go invest in some renewable products or replenishable products, run them through a prep center, and that's just going to allow you to take that money and just keep growing it and growing it and growing it. So I completely agree, Sean. Take that 30% ROI product and push them. Go when you can't use that money in your RA business. Go put it. You're not getting your 50, 100% ROI on RA. Then sure, put it in your 30% ROI on your OA business, online arbitrage business, and just have that keep scaling. And you can use your VAs to go find replenishable products which are going to help you. So, and I'll just kind of come on to the live. Have we got anyone talking on the live? I am live on that. That's good. Anyone on the live? So, any questions on the live? Any questions? Please let me know. And I'll just quickly go back and actually to say if I talked about it earlier, so I'll come back to this. Am I live now? Yeah, I'm back. You can see me. 1 second. So the one thing which I'll say is, I talked a bit about here saying I would reverse source this product. Now you might go, if you don't know what is reverse sourcing, and it's quite simply when you find a product that you like, and let's say for example we looked at this product saying possibly could be a good seller for replenishables. It's been £11.60, and I'll zoom in if you can't see me. £11.60, £11.60, £11.60. Yeah, it's gone down £9, but then back up to £11.60. Now Amazon are off the listing, and we like the look of that. You can see here that we've got £11.60, and then we've got up here, it's going up to £12.90, and then it's about £12.39. So if I look over the buy box, and the buy box over the last 90 days, I'm looking right here just under the word product finder, it's telling me it's about £11.82. So if we use £11.82 as our figure, then I'm going to say, look, it's pretty stable. £11.60, £12.99. We've got a bit of high, a bit of down. We've got some of these really low points, but hey, they're not consistently low. It just means someone's come in, crashed the price, and then it's gone back up again. I can deal with that. That's fine. I just want a nice steady line for the majority of the time, so I know that if I can buy it and make my money at that price, I'm going to be quite happy. So I just talked about reverse sourcing. So if you're not too sure, say for example a product like this. This is a coffee ground 500 gram, and it's a 2-pack. So we know straight away that it's going to be, we're looking, let's say for example the 90-day average, that is 11.82. So we might say that Amazon's off the listing, it's been a bit higher. Let's call it £12. So £12. So for this to sell at £12, if I kind of just do that, I'm going to make sure my VAT settings are right. There you go. Very important. There's no VAT on this. Oh, I am VAT registered, but there's no VAT. This is not going to work properly. Get your understanding right. Calculate profit. Okay, so if we're saying for me, I want to be getting, if I'm going to get a 30% ROI, I want to be getting about £5.96, maybe £6.45 to get 20% ROI. Now remember, it's a pack of 2, so we need to be making sure that we literally divide this by the right amount. So if we do 620, or say 650, 20% ROI, it's got to be below, it's got to be cheaper than this, divided by 2. So we want to be looking for each one of these because there's 2 in a pack. So it's a pack of 2 right here, 2 in a pack at £3.25. So what I'm going to do, and this is the reverse source part, I found a product that might meet my criteria. I'm literally just going to come along and say, cool, let's take this, right mouse click, search on Google. And remember, I'm looking for a price for about £3.25. And I'm not saying I'm going to get it, but it might be interesting to see if I can find. So here we go, this product here, £3.25. I can get it for £3.60. Anywhere else can I get it? Let's have a quick look here. Are there any other options? So Costco are doing 2 for £10. That's a bit too expensive. I'm just having a quick look here to see if there's anything I can see. Oh, they've got 2 of them. Is it £2.50? No, 500 gram. I want the 500 gram. Let's put that 500G together. See if we can get anything come out. But we've got like a 360 here, so that's probably not going to work. Might be a bit on the low side. Any other ones? Oh, Ocado, coffee tin. No, that's not the right one. But then what I would do is I would have a little look through, and to say, can I find this product on one of the suppliers? And it might be that, I find it is out of stock now, but what I would do is I'd add it into a list to say, hey, you know what, that's out of stock right now. I need to check that next time I'm doing sourcing to see if it's come back in stock. Yes, I'm in the United Kingdom. So will this give me a price? I don't think they're going to do the good price. No, they're not. Let's do that. £2.50. What do we got here? £10.99. Nope. What do we got? Sainsbury's £3.60. So that's probably about the cheapest I can find. Now I'd be quite surprised if I could find a great deal straight away. But we're not too far off this. So if we do like £3.60, £3.60 times 2, £7.20, and you're getting it for £7.20. Yeah, and that's not going to be a great margin, 7.6%. But what we'd be looking for is to find those products that are a bit more consistent. Now you might say, look, can I sell it for £12.99? £12.99. There you go, and you're just under 20%. You're making £1.39 profit. Not brilliant, I'm not going to lie that, but the idea is you might be able to buy that and sell it within a week or two and then flip it again and again and again and again. And over the course of the year, that 20% multiplying all the time, not just on the initial £1 or on the initial £7.20, but you're going to be buying more as you get more profit, is going to really add up and help your business out. So really important, and I think it's a really good question, looking at groceries, looking at, if you're VAT registered, zero VAT items that are going to help you, but hey, finding products which are going to work. So for me, I've just jumped straight into the coffee section. You might look at, other things like tea bags. We talked about that as well. If I kind of give you a little rundown, some things that I picked out earlier while I was doing a conversation was zero rated VAT items, tea, coffee, Jaffa cakes if you want to know, nappies, or as I like to call them, diapers at the moment because I'm being very American. And there's a couple of other products that you can look at, like safety helmets, safety boots, but there's a lot more in the food section. And I would recommend anyone, if you're going to get seriously into grocery, and you're VAT registered, really understand what that looks like. And again, I would just mention that Luke, Mr. FBA UK, I'll drop a link to his, I already dropped a link, but really good guy, and he knows all about groceries and replenishable. So watch his content as well. I really like that. Right, I'm just going to check back on the groups because I appreciate I've been talking for a little while. And right, so we've got here, Sean's come back and said, hoping to have 2 VAs up and ready for my OA. There's plenty of time, hopefully, to sort it when you're releasing a VA program. So I think I had a conversation with Sean. At the moment, I've got a VA program being in a VA, like trainer VA for you guys, and it'll be a sourcing VA, manual sourcing VA. And that's going to be something whereby we literally have, we will advertise for the VA, we will hire the VA, and also as well we will actually train them up using our course, and then we'll embed them with the FastTrackFBA team and find out any issues and then retrain them on that as well. And if there's any problems, we'll deal with it as well and support you in your business. That we're looking to take about 3 weeks, and that's probably going to be coming out in about a month's time. We're just going through the first beta trials now with a couple of VAs because we want to make sure it actually works and we actually add value, because hey, the last thing I want to do is hire a VA for you guys and then you're like, oh my god, it doesn't actually work. So if you're interested, drop me a message, let me know, or join the Facebook group. But when it is live, I'll drop a link down below this video as well, and obviously you'll be able to see. So properly, it'll go live to the public in about a month's time, beginning Feb, we'd get that live as well. So look, the next thing I want to talk about is there's a real question around profit and ROI. So people talk about, So people talk about, am I going live? Yeah, I'm up. Okay. So people talk about what is profit and what is ROI. Now, if I kind of get the Amazon calculator out, and I can do this, Amazon calculator, and let's just get a product. So let's get our, if I kind of go, you can see what I'm doing. So coffee product, Amazon calculator, let's put it in. Retrieving the product. Now I'm just going to say this product I can buy today. So this coffee product I could buy today for like, I don't know, item price, sorry, we're selling it for £15. Now delivery to Amazon I'm not going to put in, and I'm just going to say I can buy it all for £5. Now when I do this calculation, and the one thing I would just say is if you are UK based, you're going to have taxes on top of this. So this is going to be American. There's different types of taxes on this as well. Right now it's saying net margin, so margin is 34%. So this is basically saying what percentage of this figure here, 15, is profit. That's 34.53%. So 34.53% of the money or the revenue I've made is profit, and that's expressed as a percentage margin. So the question very much is around profit, ROI, and margin. Now, for me, I like that figure. That's really useful. And why do I like to know margin? Well, the really simple reason is if I know that you have two things, gross margin, which is the profit after, should we say, the cost of goods, and just the costs that are associated with, should we say, selling that product. So let's say like Amazon fees, FBA fees, what are they called? Like maybe the box to put it in, the shipping to Amazon, just that, literally the cost associated with selling that product. So, getting it from your warehouse on the warehouse fees, and also the box to get it in, the shipping UPS to Amazon, Amazon referral fee, and the Amazon FBA fee. After all of that, my gross, should we say, margin might be something like, let's say 40%. So that means for every £1 in sales I'm making 40p or 40% in profit. Great, I like that, gives me a rough figure. It's not, by the way, I'd love it if it was. But then you have what's known as like your fixed costs. And let's say, for example, my costs might be like sourcing. So if I'm doing like lead sourcing service, FastTrackFBA, or maybe I've got a couple of VAs, maybe I'm hiring a couple of tools like SAS, using my sourcing for. And hey, I'm paying myself. I want to get paid. I'll put that in there. And then after all those costs, I'll have what's known as a net margin. So we've got a gross margin, which is after the costs related towards the actual selling of the product on its own. And then before that, or after that, at the end, we've got the net margin, which is related to after all the costs of the business. And obviously you don't put it towards the one sale, but it's a general thumb when you look at your accounts overall. So my net margin might be something like, let's say, for example, if I'm doing 40% of gross margin, my net margin after everything, and this is pure profit, end of the business after everything, this might be running at like 20% or 10%. Now, why do I like that figure? Well, that figure is really useful because I know, hey, when I look at my phone and I'm seeing, hey, great, there's a lot going on here, like I've got loads of sales coming in, maybe today I've done £1,000, I know my gross margin is 40%, so I know I've done £400 gross profit, and then also as well, I know my gross net margin is 20%, so I know that I've done £200 net profit today. And I really like that because I can just quickly estimate how much money I've made by looking at just my revenue, by understanding my accounts overall. Now, it might be different every single day, and it will be, because I'm taking the net margin to be the average over the course of the month and applying that to that day's sale. So your margin might be very different, but as a general rule of thumb, it's a very easy figure to use. Now, that's margin, and margin is based on the revenue, as a profit as a percentage of the revenue. Now, the one thing is that's useful to know, but I don't really care about that too much. It's just nice to know. The one thing I really care about is ROI, return on investment. And the reason why I like ROI is because I say, look, for every £1 or every $1 I invest today, how much will I get back, plus my initial investment? So if I'm working on an ROI of 30%, I might put in £1 today, and in however long it takes to come back, I'll get my £1 back, and I'll get 30% back, or 30p back. That's 30% of the £1. So in like 2 weeks, if I can sell something in 2 weeks and get the money, I'll get my £1 back and the 30p profit, so £1.30. Now, the reason why I really like this figure over margin is quite simply for the fact that sales are just sales. I could buy a product today for £1 and sell it for £7. Now, wow, I've done £7. That's my margin might be like tiny. I might be making 50p on that. So I'm doing, if I just do the math, if I just do 0.5 divided by 7, I'm doing a 7% margin, which is like horrendous. Oh my God, your margin's 7%. But on the flip side is to say, I've only invested £1 and I've made 50p profit. So I'm doing 50p divided by £1 plus my initial investment. So I'm doing a 50% ROI. So I'm like, wow, I'm doing 50% ROI. Now for me, the reason why I'm looking at that is because, hey, if if I'm doing a 50% ROI, I know that if I put in like £1,000 and I can get it back in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be getting £1,500 back. That is great. And hey, even if I'm doing crazy revenue, let's say buying it for £1, selling it for £1, selling it for £7, but making £1.50 back, then I'm still going to be making a lot of money, so I can scale that. So for me, margin's a nice figure to know, but ROI is the real figure that I'm interested in, because what I'm really interested in is if I put in X amount of money today, or like £1,000 today, how much am I going to be getting back when it all sells? So ROI is the real figure that I use, because that is my return on my investment, and I find that really useful to help me in looking at when I'm doing a different product, how does it work out to help me? So ROI is a really important one, and then the final one I'll just add to that is ROI in line with how quick it sells. So let's say, for example, if I can get 100% ROI, but it takes me a year to sell the product, well, in 1 year's time, I'm going to be getting, say for example, I've got a nice mouse here, I can buy it for £10, I can buy it for £5, and I can sell it for £10, and I'm going to get double my money. So 100% ROI. It's not, the sums don't work exactly because there'll be costs. But let's say, for example, buy it for 5, and in a year's time, I'll sell it for 10, and I'll get double my money. Well, great, double my money like that. But that's in a year. But what if I say I could get you 20%, let's say 50% ROI to make it a bit easier, but I can sell it in 1 month. So in the first month, I bought it for £5, and now sold it, and now I've got £2.50 back. But let's say, for example, I now sell another one in the second month. So now I've got it, I've sold it once, I've used that money to buy another one, I've sold that again. So at the end of the second month, I've sold this twice, but my profit is now £5 for the first one, and £2.50 for the first one, and £2.50 for the second one. So in 2 months, I've just made my £5 profit, which is 100% return. Whereas if I sold it in 1 year, I'd still only make £5, but it'd take much longer because it's only selling once a year. So for me, I'm always looking at what's my ROI, but in line with how quick can I sell it. So if I can sell a product super quick, and let's say, for example, in like a month, I can buy it, ship it in, get it sold in a month. Me being VAT registered, I'd look at something like 20% ROI. I'm quite interested in that. If I can sell a large volume in a month, I'm definitely interested in that. But if it's a bit of a slower seller, then I'll probably look 30% and above. And hey, if it's a really slow seller, and I've done some that's maybe 1 or 2 sales per month, I'll happily look at 60, 70, 80, 100, 200% ROI, because hey, they don't really sell that well, but when they do, oh my God, really good. So long as it sells. And here's one thing that people forget about is profit and ROI are fantastic, but the one thing you need to realize is that it has to sell. If it doesn't sell, you don't get any profit and you don't get any ROI. So make sure your product is selling. Now, let me just kind of go back big, and I'm just going to have a quick look at the groups. So Sean's just said, I'm definitely interested, and I think that's in relation to the VA, so that's really good. So Sean, definitely, obviously I know we're in contact already about that. And hey, if there's anyone else interested in, looking at VAs or anything, then let me know, because obviously it's something we're going to go live with. Right at the moment, I don't have a sign-up form, but I will create one. Actually, I'll create one after this and drop it down below. So if anyone is interested, I'll put a sign-up form down below, and you'll be able to, sign up if you're looking to get a VA. And this is a trained sourcing VA by myself and my team, whereby we will hire them, interview them, we will train them on our own in-house training system, and then take them on board and actually get them, we'll identify weaknesses and retrain them. If you are interested, drop me a message down below, or I'll drop a link down below later on if you're watching on a replay, and then I will just drop you a message when we get you signed up. So I'm just coming back into Facebook, and I can see here Sean saying I need to look at quicker sales, quick flips, even just 30% ROI. Yeah, definitely. If you're doing, say for example, 100% ROI, but it's taking you a year, but you can do a 30% ROI once a month. My God, you can do 12, 30% ROIs, which is going to be 300% return on your investment. Roughly, that's 10 months. That's going to really beat the 1 year 100% ROI. So I'm running a lot of numbers in my head. So definitely, there is a balance between really high ROI and also lower ROI, but high volume of sales. So really just understand that. It's not just about getting a good return on investment, it's about time to the money. How quick can you turn that money? So really important there, and I think a really great question to ask. So thank you so much for that, Alex Smith. So Alex asked, and if I just clarify, Alex did ask profit margin versus ROI. So profit margin, if I just really concisely answer, profit margins are nice to know because it knows roughly how much profit have I made when I look at my daily sales. Great, I like that. But ROI is the one that I do my deal analysis on because I want to understand if I invest £1, how quick am I getting it back? So I think I'm just going to come through, and I'm pretty much sure that I've answered all the questions in the Facebook. And hey, look, if you've got any more questions or anything you want me to go through now, be sure to drop it down below. And or if you're maybe in the YouTube, be sure to drop that down below as well. The one thing which I would just say is, I said this already earlier on, but yesterday I went to a really good event Al Carson organised from Seller Tools. He does a great sourcing tool called SAS, and what I'll do is I'll drop a link down below once, should we say, I finish this thing. I'll just kind of do it now. I think I can do it. SAS.selleramp. No, I'll drop a link into the chat, so if anyone's interested. So this is a deal and analysis tool, and it works in the EU and the US. It's a really good product. So if anyone's interested, I'll just drop a link down below. And really good. So it does that. It does all the different bits and bobs. It can give you really good analysis on like buy bot sharing. So if you're really interested in that, have a look at that. That's SAS. I really like that. But he did a really good talk on it, and we had a lot of sellers coming in to talk through. So my advice to anyone is, go to these events, meet up with people. They are really helpful, and network, because you're going to meet people who are going to be really helpful and know. Like for example, I met Luke yesterday from Mr. FBA UK. He's got his own YouTube channel. Do follow him. Like, great guy, knows his stuff, very technical. And we talked a bit about replenishables here. He knows it way more than I do. I think he told me he was doing something like £80,000. That's about what, $100,000 last in December. And he's like, I probably did a couple of hours a day tops. Just come in. I'd wake up, I'd order my stuff, reorder. I'd reorder, and then like my shipment would come in, and it would get me out of bed, and then I'd pack it and then ship it off, and that was it. And it wasn't, like, I didn't really do too much, and I think he said I felt a bit bad because I was surprised how much money I was doing for how little work. And why? Because he got his replenishables. He literally said something like 70% of all his purchases were things that he'd been buying for the entire year. He just bought more of them because they were selling. And I was like, man, that's fantastic. Like, really smart, really good to do it. Don't go out there and chase all these last minute sales. Just have the things you keep buying, just buy more of them. So I'm just having a quick look in the Facebook group. Sean's asked, how often do you get refunds and does it bother you? Sean, one kind of point I'd make about that, and I do try and express it to everyone, is to say, look, you get the email from Amazon about the refunds. Yeah, it's really annoying. But first things first, number one, Amazon, as default, checks the product and puts it back in sale if it can be sold. Now, the majority, at least 50% of my refunds get returned to that. So that's not really an issue. And then second of all is to say that half the time we get them shipped back to the other half, they get shipped back to our warehouse. We use a company called Easy Logic who do my prep. Sam Phillips, really good guy, by the way. And he will basically take the products in, he will look them over. Now, half the time he says, Tom, they're fine, don't worry, send them back in. And then the other half of the time it's like, you can't send that in. So out of that remaining like 25%, I'd probably say 5% we have to bin because they're damaged, and probably 20% we'll probably sell on eBay, or he'll sell them for me as used on the Amazon marketplace. And obviously he takes a fee, but with me being in Vietnam working remotely, I can't do that myself. So I'm really grateful for that service. And does it bother me? No, it's just part and parcel of doing business. It's the nature of the world we live in. Interesting enough, there might be times that I buy something from a supplier and I have to return it because something's not right or something's wrong. But the same with us, like people, part of our protection in our EU laws is that we can buy products and then return them as well. So, something wrong, but so can our customers do that to us. So it doesn't bother me, nature of the business, and hey, you factor it into your business. Every month I'm looking at how much stock I've got, and stock goes missing, stock happens, and as a result, I'm actually looking at how much stock I've used, the actual cash value of stock used, and then I can work out my true P&L. And even after like losing a few things, even after having some returns, then I'm still making money, I'm still happy with that, and I'm good. Now, if I just kind of check, so brilliant. So CPU says, love your live session, so thank you very much for the live session. And we've got, how much stock do you think you should hold at any one time? Well, interesting enough, that's a question around how much stock do you think you should hold? Well, the answer would be is as much as you've got to invest, and it's about how quick you can turn it. So if you're talking about how much stock you should really hold, and by the way, this is on the YouTube chat, I'd probably say, look, if you're doing something like if you want to be doing 10 grand's worth of revenue, and you're working at say 30% ROI, you're probably going to be having about 5 grand's worth of stock. Now, in my business, if I'm looking at 5 grand's worth of stock, I'll probably have 2 grand, maybe a grand or 2 grand coming in. I'll probably have 3 grand actually in Amazon on sale at any one time, and I'll probably turn that every few weeks. So for me, if I'm thinking about 5 grand in my business, in my sales, in my stock, to make 10 grand's worth of sales, I'll have a couple of thousand in Amazon, and then a few, say for example, 60% of it would be in stock in Amazon, and then 30-40% of it would be on way to Amazon. And that would be roughly half of the revenue I want to achieve. So if you're doing 100 grand, you would say, I'm going to have £50,000 worth of stock, of which 60% of it, I'll do the math in my head, say 30 grand, is in Amazon right now, and I've got 15 to 20 grand en route into Amazon for new stock that I buy to replenish stuff that I know is going to sell. There's a rough rule of thumb. So CP UK, hope that's been useful for you, and thank you for the question. I'll just come back to the Facebook group, and this will be the last kind of thing that I do before I finish for the night, or finish for the day, because it's been quite a long day. And Sean's just come back, do you have a damaged stock sheet, something I want to mark? For me, we kind of do, the moment stock gets returned, yes, we check it in, and it gets, we get it shipped back to the warehouse, and the warehouse tell us, is it new, is it not? If it's new, we'll ship it back into Amazon. If it's not new and needs to be resold, we'll move that into like a resale pile, and then we'll work with the warehouse to get that resold. And then finally, if it's like damaged, we can't resell it, we'll just put it into a destroy pile, collect it up for a little while, send an email to the warehouse and say, hey guys, can you get rid of this? Do what you like. And they'll get rid of it. So yes, we do have a damaged stock sheet, but we don't use that damaged stock sheet for any kind of tracking of like cash value or anything. It's literally just to manage the physical stock. It's not about doing kind of analysis on that. What we really look at is just the stock value. That's what we're using. Right, what I will say is I'm probably going to be finishing around there. So if there's any other questions, be sure to let me know. But I just want to say, look, from everyone joining me on the live today, really appreciate it. And, thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon with me. I appreciate, you've got some people sourcing, doing RA, maybe listening in your van or at home, some top tips. If there's anything maybe I've missed and you want to know more about, or maybe you want me to do in the next live, or maybe even just create a video of in general, drop it down below. And then second of all, I'd probably just say, look, if you like this kind of content and it's been useful, give me a thumbs up. I always love a thumbs up. And hey, if you're watching on the YouTube or the YouTube replay, click subscribe. That's going to be really useful. And then even if you're, let's say for example, you're watching it on the YouTube as well, and you want to sign up for the next live, I'll drop a link. It'll be one of the, should we say, the windows that pops up. I'll have a link to the next live so you can join in. And hey, be sure to ask any questions in advance. So perhaps maybe I can kind of prepare and kind of give you, some answers that are going to really help you. But what I will say is, look, thank you to everyone today who's obviously joined me in these lives on the Facebook and on YouTube. And then also as well, what I'll say is thank you to everyone who I met at, Al Carton's Seller Tools meetup yesterday. That has been really helpful and eye-opening, and I've learned so much as well. And also what I will say as a final thing is thank you very much for everyone in the UK. I'm flying back to Vietnam on Thursday. I think it's Thursday. And obviously from then onwards, I will be doing them at 11 o'clock at night and obviously talk to you from Vietnam. So just want to say a big thank you to everyone in the Facebook chat and the live stream. It's been a real pleasure. And I look forward to speaking to you again in 2 weeks' time from Vietnam. But anyway, from me, Thomas Parkinson, FastTrackFBA, thank you very much.